Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Lead Up Podcast, where we connect with dope and diverse. Check out the shirt, you see. To learn more about their leadership journey so you can level up your leadership. Hashtag Lead Up. As always, I want to give a special shout out to Darling New Media, Sacramento's premier podcast studios, here to help tell your story. Check out their services at darlingnewmedia.com and connect with my guy, Nate. And can't forget about the listeners, the viewers. Thank you so much for just all the love and the feedback. Just very excited to continue this journey podcasting, introduce some more dope and diverse guests today. Without further ado, I have the legends. This is family. These are great friends, colleagues, Bel and Brit. Welcome to the Lead Up Podcast.
No, thank you.
Thank you for coming through, and after dodging after a year or so. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's define dodging.
You're right. But thank you guys for coming out. I really just you guys are awesome, right? So you guys know that already. So I just wanted to, before we get into some questions, I want to just get the folks to listen and to understand who both of you are. Just kind of give us your background, how you grew up, where you're from. Tell us who is Bel and who is Brit. So whoever wants to kick it off.
Bel does. All right. Sure, yeah, I'll kick it off. So Bel Reyes, that's a big question, right? Because we often are ones that engage and invite others to share their stories with us. I think least often do we share our stories with others. So thank you for inviting us and giving us this opportunity to do that.
For sure.
I think I'm born and raised in Sac.
Okay.
In fact, Del Paso Heights, Pacers for life, right? Went to Grant High School. Although I was born and raised in Sac, both my parents are from Mexico. So really proud of that and appreciative of that, because it just gave me, I think, an opportunity to kind of position me onto a pathway that leads me to, where I'm at, who I'm at today. Right. So local chick over here from Sacramento. And I know that's brief, but maybe I'll pass it to B so she can share a little bit of where she's from.
Sure, because Bel knows how excited I am to tell everybody I'm from a beautiful state called Virginia.
I did not know that.
I'm a Southern girl. Yeah. So I was born in Virginia in the Shenandoah Valley. It's actually not far from Appalachia, like almost in the mountains and very rural compared to Sacramento. But we came out west a fair number of years. So I've been in California longer than I lived back east. But
Gotcha.
so yes, Southern girl for sure. And we came to Rancho Cordova, so went to high school there, and then, and then moved to Fresno for university. Came back to Sac and been in Sac, serving community and being a part of the community now for a long time.
But the interesting part, we learned, right, is that you'd come out to the Heights and I would go out.
Oh yeah, we did.
Meet up with folks in Rancho, but we never crossed paths.
Oh wow,
back then.
It's actually really kind of interesting.
So let's talk about that, because I don't think I know that story of how y'all connected, right? Because I know y'all a couple of years now through our organizations, but I'd love to just hear from either, I don't know if it's the same story or the same perspective, but love to hear that. How did those paths cross?
Well, the way we didn't cross paths is that we were frequenting some of the same teen hangouts.
Okay.
And somehow kept missing each other. And then while we were separately, not knowing one another, in school, we both worked in stores in downtown Plaza Mall and didn't know in the same summers. And then I was really blessed in that at the time I was working with City of Sacramento's Department of Youth Development, and had a chance to partner with Bel in the Girl Inspired Conference, I think first with our partners with Sac City Unified, who my leader went to work for. But I think it was really an instant connection. And so even as our paths have changed throughout 20 years, not 20 years, maybe 15 or 16 years.
It's
really, wow.
At least since 2009.
It's been a long time. Because you were at the city. I was at UC Davis in the School of Education at the time.
Got it.
So I think we felt called to work in the same way. And so it makes sense that our paths crossed and then eventually lined up.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit more. You know, there's obviously that friendship, but then there's that next level of like partnership and working together, right? Was it immediately jumping into what I know as Innovation Bridge, or tell me a little bit more of like once y'all connected, started working together, what was kind of that path or journey to eventually get to where you are today in terms of Innovation Bridge and all the things that y'all were doing? It sounds like y'all were in different spaces, but still kind of doing similar things, right?
Yeah, we were different organizations, and I think Innovation Bridge for us was a blessing. I think it came in at a time in our lives where I think we were needing new journeys, right? A different course to continue to do the good work that we both feel like we're called to do, right?
Yeah.
But in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was a bit of a different experience for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
We were kind of at the time, but she's not only a trusted friend, a trusted colleague, and, you know, just like with you, Renato, right? You always connect with good folks that do good work.
Yeah.
It's not always easy work, right?
Right.
But good folks that do good work. And so Innovation Bridge became an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And through our friendship, kind of an exploration and discussion. And it just kind of manifested itself, right? To make it just possible. And we just kind of shifted kind of those paths that we were on at the time, slightly at different kind of time periods. And then collectively, you know, have been with Innovation Bridge now for the past, almost 6 years now.
And could you explain, for those that don't know what Innovation Bridge is, what it is? And what are y'all trying to do with that, right?
Yeah, that's the bigger question, right?
Yeah.
Always, I think what we're trying to do is always be of service, right? Of service to young people, families, and community. I think that's just, again, kind of our calling in life, where our hearts are with, you know, guided by our own just faith to do good work. But we're a community-based organization focused on technical assistance support, really centered around community school partnerships, trying to just improve and increase just outcomes for students, families, and communities. So a lot of our work kind of lies at the intersect between, you know, schools and community partnerships, but that also includes, you know, other sectors, philanthropy,
Right.
Business partners, and faith-based, and
Cool.
others alike.
Very cool. Something I want to kind of dive into a little bit more because, which is great because, you know, with IYT, we have kind of a similar dynamic with the mics, right? Kind of, you always see them together, and they have that great balance in terms of they know each other's strengths and weaknesses. They complement each other very well. I think, and I'll put myself in this category too, where, you know, based on what I see, is like, I gotta be number one. I gotta be the boss. But then when you see these dynamics of two very powerful leaders, right, in their own rights with different strengths that they bring to the table, it's different, right? And you don't see that very often, right? Again, I'm very blessed to see the mics in that dynamic, and to see y'all, it's very similar. So I wanted to kind of like unpack that a little bit of, you know, how does this work? How does this dynamic work? Because, and not just, again, maybe just from your experience, but from what you've seen, because you get to work with other folks in the community and how they lead. But this is, I think, a powerful way to lead where you are at in this dynamic, if that makes sense, right?
I think fundamentally at the root of it, beyond just friendship and love, is our organization's choice to lead with servant leadership. It's that model. So if my approach toward leadership is to serve, is to think about the way that I'm contributing to our organization, to community, then my colleagues are doing the same thing, then it makes it much easier to step forward, step back, sidestep when we need to. I think the relationship helps, but also being at a space where we respect what one another brings, it makes it easy too, right? People, because our names both start with B.
Right.
Just today in a meeting, I got about 4 times, and it was Zoom, so it said my name on there. And we try to make it hard because sometimes we'll both have on our glasses. We tend to both wear black. We wear our hair the same.
Right.
So we try to trick everybody, but I count it as a compliment.
Yeah.
I know that I know what it means if someone feels like they have Bel at the table, and we make a joke like, nope, the other one. But I feel like I count it all joy to have an opportunity to work alongside Bel, to learn from Bel, and to occasionally be mistaken for Bel.
Right. Quite often, right? But it is a compliment. We always say big B, little b, right? Brit, Bel, and it's kind of interesting because we both shorten our names, and we have different stories behind that as well. But
which we won't tell.
Okay, let me get that out. That's another podcast exclusive that we won't get to
for
today.
The next one,
right? Oh, so there's gonna be a next one.
No,
you heard it here. No, I'm just kidding. It was already a lot to get them to do this one. So, but let's get to the next question here. And I'm gonna bring it back to Innovation Bridge in just a second, but having gone, you mentioned 6 years kind of working together, at least.
I think it's 8.
8?
For IB.
At least 6 then, right? What have you
like
learned about individually about yourselves, but also about each other, right? Again, and it's funny because even during my time, this is gonna be my 7th year with IYT, so even seeing the Michaels and seeing their growth, I got to see it front and center. But I'm curious to hear from you all as you all work closely together pretty much all the time. What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about each other as you guys continue to do the work that you do?
That's a good question. I think you have to continuously be in a space of when you're learning about others, right? I think part of the growth and ability to do the work that we're involved with and to do that well, you have to think beyond yourself. And I think that really closely aligns with Brit was mentioning. Kind of our approach is through servant leadership. Yeah. And I think good leaders, right? You surround yourself around other good leaders, and you're not afraid to allow for them to lead, right? And in fact, I would say often, servant leadership, you lead from behind, but that's still just strong leadership. Yeah. That we're just not afraid to explicitly say that's a space we're okay with. We're always looking for opportunities to design space to kind of widen the table for others to be part of spaces maybe they're not often invited to, and to explore opportunities where we're uplifting others. It's that saying, if you coming up, who's coming up with you, who you bringing with you. So I think that's really fundamental. But I think for me personally, over the past few years, it is a relationship, right? A partnership. Those that you work with, it's a relationship. And so we just kind of, I know for me, I just ground myself in that. And it's not being afraid to say, no, this is my sister, this is my family. You're going to know that, right? We have a professional relationship that I'm extremely proud of, in terms of the work that we do and our outcomes aligned to IB Innovation Bridge, but also this is my sister, right? Yeah. And so there's those different levels of qualities, and within all of that, it's a relationship. And so just, continuing to pour in that, but also recognizing I get that back too. Yeah. So ultimately, it's just, it's a beautiful thing to kind of experience that over the past, not just with IB, but we've known each other for so long.
Of course.
Yeah.
For anything you want to add?
No, I think Bel said it really well. I think I appreciate as time goes on and Innovation Bridge changes and grows, and the needs of community change and grow, that we change and grow too. I think that makes sense. And in any relationship, including a professional relationship that's also a personal relationship, I think the beauty in that is that we continue to grow together.
Got it.
So I think we maybe just at this point almost feels like innately or organically know one another. So we know certain things, like if we'll share, that's part of that learning of each other maybe, that it can be hard to articulate, but it's like we know, we kind of have a sense of what each other's thinking, or sometimes we'll shorthand our conversations of like, we'll say one word like, I know it's this, right? So that always feels good, you know what I mean, when we're able to be in sync and we can step in and support and kind of lend thinking to each other, because we do understand how one another's brains work.
Yeah, I guess something that I feel like that I would hear from somebody tuning in is like, does that make it easier or harder, like to have, that whether it's a personal and a professional relation? Again, I kind of always go back to the Michaels because they've been friends since high school and they do pretty much everything together now, right? Even still in and out of work. And they've voiced how sometimes it's been challenged to have those conversations when it comes to the making a decision within the organization, right? But then after that, they're playing basketball. So it's like, I guess I'm trying to get at is like, again, folks that may have friends that they're like, could I potentially do business with person? Or is it more of like, no, I know that for sure, but this one who may be a friend down the line, but starts out as someone that's a business partner. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Does that get tricky? Does that make it easier? Or I guess maybe what are some of those things that y'all learn from having maybe those conversations or just experiences together?
Yeah, I think it's honoring that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think in the work that we're a part of, it's not always easy work.
Yeah.
And so sometimes the relationship isn't always easy, but it's also being okay with having space where you're having difficult conversations, right? That's when good work happens. You have to, I feel like if we weren't having difficult conversations, we might not be doing good work. We might need to go in a different direction, right? Yeah. But I think that's okay too. But I think it's up to the person in terms of what are those how do those occur? Right? Is it one-sided? Are you truly listening? Again, going back to a relationship, if that relationship matters to you, then how you approach those conversations will matter too. Yeah. Right? Ultimately, what are you walking away with in the space that you're creating to have those conversations when they arise, I think is critical and important. Yeah. And it keeps us, I think, Britt was mentioning, just in a space of continued growth. I'm not sure we would have grown so much over the past few years, not only individually, professionally, as an organization, if we weren't willing to, at times, right, have difficult conversations. But those are definitely overshadowed by just the wonderful, conversations that come with the good work, right? I think.
And I think that's it. And maybe this is unique to us, or maybe it's unique to certain types of relationships, but when Bel said a sisterhood, that's it. And a sisterhood for us, we have a shared understanding is sacred. It's sacred. So our work together in that same way, because we're in service to community, is sacred. So you approach that differently. Yeah. Right? I think it's the way that we work collaboratively together as sisters in this work is aligned to our approach to community too. Yeah, it's honoring how important it is, and coming with a true heart.
No, and I think that's the reason, or one of the reasons why I asked y'all, and I love y'all, because I think I don't know the year, but it was when we were planning for the CAPS bridge.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
She had all the stickies on the walls, and Britt was taking notes. You could just feel that dynamic and that energy, that love right away, right? And that was obvious and apparent. And you still see it today, right? That's like, and I guess what I'm trying to, it's rare, right? And that's a beautiful thing to see, that I want others to not only listen and watch, but really just know that's, especially for what we do, right? In terms of impacting people's lives or the communities or trying to see change. These are the things to model it, right? And you all are modeling that. So kind of shifting gears a little bit, touching still on like building something together, but also now touching a little bit on leadership. What's something you wish someone had told you about leadership, or something that you wish, as you are building something, right, from scratch, 8 years in, right? What is something you wish someone had told you from the beginning? And it doesn't have to be innovation. It could be your own personal or a collective journey. Yeah.
Well, one thing we like to say, like, we're the boss of us, right? So we were able to kind of design things in a way that we felt right for us. Yeah. I wish earlier on in my career, either someone had put me up on game, or I had even on my own considered that it doesn't have, leadership in general doesn't have to look like traditional Eurocentric, maybe male models, right? That we have this idea of what a leader is, and there's, a whole section of Barnes & Noble to describe what doesn't necessarily feel authentic for everybody, and that's not the way it has to look, and you don't have to then imitate that to be a true leader. And so I wish that had came. I don't think that ever fit, or that I ever really would have succeeded at that kind of a model.
Yeah,
it's not me. It's not for me. But I wish I had known that earlier. I might have seen myself as a leader earlier.
That's good. Bel?
I don't know. That's a really interesting question. And I think in part because other experiences and ventures in life have involved other business ventures, and they weren't always successful for various reasons. And some of those that weren't successful, in fact, failures, they hurt in different ways.
Yeah.
So it was always open up to, advice from others. But I think those experiences prior to IB, being part of Innovation Bridge, gave it was like self-advising. So as we advised Innovation Bridge, we're like, check this out. We're going to make sure we got this. And it's important also for us, right? As leaders in this work, as women of color, as, young leaders of color in this work, that we also take care of ourselves. And it's okay for us to make sure we're taken care of, our families are taken care of, and then their future families are taken care of. And I think that's been really important, and we really try to, embrace that and make that a priority without feeling guilty, feeling guilty about it. So I think a little bit of those past experiences in many ways made sure we got certain things in place structurally as an organization to, knock on wood, keep us, sustainable for, continue to be able to do the work again. We feel like truly, we have strong faith and spirituality, right? Connections, and we feel like this is, we're being called in many ways.
That's awesome.
But we want to sustain it, right? And then again, being able to be in a place where we can take care of our families. Yeah, I think is a bit of a kind of a leadership learning, right? Yeah, and advice. I think that we've received, and maybe we would give for others.
I want to go off that a little bit more because, again, we're the last couple of years we felt a lot of effects and changes, right? Coming out of COVID, in COVID, right? And I think a lot, especially when it comes to the professional world and workforce, people even going to school, like all that's kind of flipped on its head now, right? Some good, some bad, where I'm seeing some trends. Some of it directly impacts my work too, makes it a little bit harder. But I think that's come up more in terms of like, what's going to be best for me now? What's going to be best for my family, for my future? And I think that's some of the good that I've seen, that people are, like, life is short, right? Family members were sick, passing away, right? And there was a lot of impact that we saw that I even witnessed myself, and just hearing stories, and people really want to go after just things like this is their time, right? And I'm like, yeah, this is their time. So I guess the question I want to bring up is like, if for someone that's wanting to innovate or pivot, right, in their lives, what piece of advice would you give to them? That young person, maybe they're in school still, maybe they just graduated school, they're thinking a whole career change, or just they want to explore and take that next leap, just based on your experience or things that you all are doing. What would you say to this person?
That's a great question, Renato. I think it is important, and we kind of noted that early on, let's look at this as an opportunity for, to disrupt some of those patterns, whether it's within the systems of work systems or the workforce, educational systems, to disrupt those patterns and not go back to what we knew before that didn't work for us. Yeah. Right. For our communities. I think the advice is hard. I think it for us with Innovation Bridge, it was a faith walk. So maybe because of that, I think of it as very personal in terms of like when is right. It's a faith walk, and we often talked about, especially in those first couple of years, it's sort of, you get to a place where it's like this, and then that next step, you do step into where there's not ground underneath.
Wow.
Now, because we have families, we're moms,
Yeah.
that's a measured risk, right?
Mm.
Because my
Yep.
kids got to eat, right?
That's
so
right.
I'm intentional about making sure that's a measured risk that works for my family. But at the same time, it was a step out on faith that can be scary. And I think it was the faith that sustained us in that.
Yeah.
And surely the faith that has sustained IB. I mean, we can't even do a podcast and not talk about how God has blessed us. Like, let me tell you how God has blessed
She's
us.
the creator, and that's God. In
Just
fact,
blessed us.
today we said it again.
Yes, every day.
Every day, really.
There's no other explanation.
Wow.
Like we think we're all right, but it's been God's blessings, and so our intent is just to be good stewards of those, and
That's good.
And try to be in alignment to where we're called and directed to go.
Yeah. Wow.
And that is, could we just ask, because we were
Yeah.
like, what questions is Renato going to ask us, right? But we were saying, so but it led to a discussion, right? We were having it in the car, and we're like, it is that faith. And it gave us that confidence and that where sometimes we're, we always, kind of a mentor of ours always said, not all money is good money. And we have found ourselves where the work has not aligned to just our fundamental core values personally, but that of IB.
Yeah.
Right, where we've had to have those difficult conversations with folks and partners, and just said, I don't think, we're a best service. IB is a best service to you and kind of where you're at, and we just don't currently align, and have had to, kind of say thank you, no thank you, and we look forward to future opportunities. And sometimes that's not always easy when you're starting your own kind of organization. It's scary, in fact, but I think we just lean into our faith, and you're describing that was one of our quotes. We were in a co-op sharing space, literally
a room smaller than this, maybe the same,
maybe about this size.
Our whole company.
Oh, when y'all started?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We got pictures we would not let go, and so we'd be typing and then turn to each other when we would need to meet.
Like a share. It was like an L, so we had our own side.
Now?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
The meeting was just looked this way.
Yeah, we had a middle tape, but we had the quote.
Wow.
In one case, quote. Like sometimes, faith is not knowing, the following step, the next step sometimes. But I think, Britt described that beautifully.
Yeah, it's amazing. As we start landing the plane, see, it wasn't too bad, right? I want to go back to something you said about putting on game, right? How do you all continue to put yourselves on game as you continue to build out Innovation Bridge, right, and all the work that y'all doing? How do y'all stay sharp? How do y'all stay current in all these different things? Because again, as y'all mentioned several times, the work is not easy, and there can be a lot of different opportunities elsewhere. But how do y'all continue to work together and make sure you're all right? We got to stay on point. We need to stay updated and all these different things. What are y'all doing to make sure y'all informed and kind of moving forward?
We hang around with IYT.
Right.
Real talk. I think Bel spoke to it before, at least for me, for sure. The leaders that have an opportunity to be around, I'm also watching them, right? Whatever the setting is, even if we're coming in to help or support or coach, we're still also learning, right? We're not the keepers of all knowledge on anything. So always trying to learn. And looking at what's happening now, what young folks that are coming in behind us are doing, are focusing on, and their approach, and in what ways that may help for, toward our own growth, as well as, I got some solid mentors. Bel, of course, is one of them, but also, like Keith Meraki and some folks from other parts of my career and life path, who I still tap in with as well.
Gotcha.
Because it's that like wisdom, and then a blend of that and being open to what's new.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
So I need to see somebody else in action and be inspired and learn more.
Very cool.
No, I think that's exactly it. And also saying, yes, Renato, we want to do your podcast.
Is this your guys' first podcast?
Oh, yeah, we've had invitations to others. And I'll just say
So y'all just don't dodge mine.
It's Renato.
Nah.
Okay.
It was Renato.
Okay.
You.
it was like, yes, when? I mean,
Right.
it was a few months in the works, right? But
Right.
I think it's, you know, and I think it comes with the spirit of servant leadership,
Yeah.
right? You often lead from kind of behind. It's still strong leadership, just in a different way. And I
Yeah.
think, you know, all that to say, sometimes, you know, we will say we kind of more behind the camera.
I gotcha.
So it's okay, you know, being okay with stepping into maybe something that a little maybe
Uncomfortable.
yeah, but
Can't tell.
yeah, but also being thankful
Yeah.
to leaders such as yourself to give us space to share our stories.
Definitely.
And again, you know, we don't often do that. So,
Right.
you know, it's a little uncomfortable. And I think
For
that's
sure.
part of growth too,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and that's really, you know, I don't think I've ever mentioned this, but that's really, you know, the reason why I do this still. Like for me, it's like a selfish, like I still get to, this is a cool thing, right? We're hanging out. I'm learning things I've never heard from you guys before, but, and the camera just happens to be on, right? But for me, it's to now share that knowledge and learnings with others, right? Because again, there's a lot of, again, I think a lot of it is attached to my work because I see a lot of these young brothers. I'm like, man, there's so many cool people that I feel like I'm connected with that are doing amazing things. They just don't know, right? So if this is a medium that, you know, I can share just a little bit of that to them and other people, like I want to do that, right? And that's kind of the journey that I've been on, to want to share dope and diverse people in our community and just even beyond, to make sure that, hey, like they're doing amazing things, like connect with them, like reach out to them, like learn from their experiences, right? So thank you again for being here. I appreciate y'all. All right, got one more question, then we're going to go
I
to the...
super thought that was it when you said
No, we're almost
okay.
done. One more question, then we'll go to the lightning round.
Yeah.
Yes. Just real quick, how can folks connect with y'all? What is next for IB?
Yeah, well, you know, we are very approachable, so you can connect with us directly. Come visit us. Oh, we just moved.
What?
Yeah, we have a great new office space.
Oh, okay.
2318 K Street.
Okay.
We moved right across the street from where we were
Bigger
previously
than when you
located.
started, right?
Yeah.
So you have-
Oh, yeah. Well, we moved
the third
after
time.
that. This is the
Yeah, I
third
know.
time. So come visit us. Of course, you know, find us on our website or Twitter. We do have a social media. You asked us
Twitter.
earlier.
Tweet alert.
So we are connected there.
Yeah.
But we love to connect, and we're always in the community. We're just part of the community.
For sure.
So,
Yes, you
know,
are.
We
Definitely.
still exist in that space. And then in terms of what next, we're just excited to continue to be of service and support with kind of, I think you were noting this earlier, kind of, you know, the pandemic, COVID, post-COVID, but we still kind of experiencing that.
some
You know, there's
residue.
a lot of movement, kind of forward thinking. You know, we just have to really think a new transformative, what we say, normalcy never again, right? But what does that really mean, look like?
Yeah.
And hold folks accountable to that. And so
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where the conversations and part of our work is. And we're excited to continue to personally grow, collectively grow, and then, you know, grow with others, I think.
Very cool.
No, I think you said it really well.
Cool. I'll make sure to link the website in the show notes. But now let's move to the favorite segment of mine, the lightning round. These are questions.
You're just kidding.
These are questions that I did not share with y'all beforehand. These are
No,
just
he's for fakes.
My
Okay,
favorite
clearly
color?
they haven't tuned into the podcast because I do this every podcast, but it's okay.
No, we have, but we must not. We must miss this part.
They must have.
It's my signal.
But it's okay. These are fun questions.
Okay.
Top, you know, first thing that comes to mind, right? They're very fun. Nothing crazy. All right. I took out all the crazy ones. All right. The first question, very easy. Favorite food?
Oh, just food. Does that count?
It's not easy at all. Like,
Come on, give me something, Britt. She just went food.
I
So
just love food.
pizza?
pizza. Yeah, we got pizza here too. Okay. Next question. Stranded on an island. The one item you bring is what?
Bible.
The Bible?
That's such an IT,
Fruit?
IYT question. Yeah. What was it? A survivor kit.
A survivor kit.
Yeah.
There you go. Y'all can work that out together on
There
the
we
island.
go.
Right.
Bible and survival. Okay,
Right.
straight.
There you go.
A boat. I should have said boat.
Favorite dessert?
Well, I
You
bake.
answered, You bake. I like.
So
What?
I bake.
Oh
It's
yeah,
a-
you definitely from the South.
Right, yeah, I know. Come to my house. Are you hungry? So in the summertime, I like pies.
Okay.
In the fall, I mean, it's still pie season, but I tend to move into like cupcakes. And then, Christmas time or winter, I think of like cookies and those kinds of treats. So it's a seasonal dessert topic for
And
me.
they're really good. And she brings tres leches. Is
Tres
one of my
leches.
favorites.
Classic. Can't go
Yeah.
wrong with that. Next one. Morning person or night owl?
Midday.
Yeah.
A nooner?
Midday maven.
A few 10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not a night owl.
Night owl. Now, kind of not really a morning
Shifted.
person, but yeah.
Okay.
Midday.
Midday? Sure. We'll go with midday.
Second cup of coffee, ladies, over here.
Next one. Artist or song that is currently on repeat? Or podcast. We had somebody mention a podcast.
That's a good question.
Besides mine, obviously. You ain't got to say mine.
On repeat. Oh, well, because you answered that question yesterday.
Because I just said the Bible too, but we just, with my daughter dropping her off at middle school, and I'm trying to introduce her to year one Kanye, like college dropout Kanye.
Okay.
Which is also known as like the last time I liked Kanye.
Right.
So we've been listening to Jesus Walks.
Okay.
And that's been kind of something that I'm intentional about, like setting up our day, and then also, maybe if she's had a rough day.
Gotcha. Some old Kanye. You know?
Well, it's just a shuffle of different artists and songs, but it's My God. So it's actually My God is what it's called. It's a lot of just like gospel and different like face.
Y'all like Michael.
Where I start the morning. Yeah.
Y'all like Michael's. Michael's do the same thing, like gospel, everything. That's crazy.
Not everything. I mean, we like
we
it.
good.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Usually
I'm a
you
hip
start
hop
the
head
morning-
too, but we start. You gotta be intentional how you start the
Yes.
morning. If we're doing something,
Sure.
Michael and Michael are doing too, I'm gonna keep doing that.
Yeah, right.
Staying on the music thread, if each of you had to do one karaoke song to save your life, what would it be?
That's easy. So I can't sing, but I do karaoke rap. So my song has been Juicy by Biggie.
B.I.G. Okay.
Yeah.
Biggie.
I always said I would do like a No Doubt. Do you remember?
Nice.
Do you remember
Nice.
No
Gwen
Doubt,
Stefani.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
nice.
could pull that off.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next, got a few more here. A pet peeve of yours.
Lightning round question.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Right.
That's good.
You, Brit?
I don't know. I don't know. Lightning round. Yeah.
Lightning round.
I'm gonna go with Bel.
If your life was a mixtape, it will be called what? Don't say lightning round.
That's a great question. Dang, you should have emailed us that one. And
It's not the point of the lightning round. Come on.
To the group text, I responded. I was like, it was a haha from a teen group text, and I was like, oh, the answer is usually it's me. So the mixed
oh,
text,
good one.
yeah, it's me.
We'll see.
I like that one. Best advice someone has given you.
We're supposed to answer.
I know, right? It's like
Yeah, it's
lightning.
all right.
Our
Don't
lightning
worry.
is like a slow
Oh,
rumble
it's
thunder.
okay. I'm gonna
Oh,
lean
yeah,
into
good.
it's okay. My dad, he's just always in his spirit. It's okay.
The mentor that I mentioned, Keith Meraki, said, I hope you send him the link. He just retired, so I know he's got time now. Many years ago, he encouraged me, with just a few words, operate in total confidence.
I like
and
that.
It's something that I've been able to share with others too. Like operate in total confidence, even if you're unsure. Stand firm in that too.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Love that.
All right. Last three here. Worst nickname given to you that you're willing to share, of course.
Worst nickname.
So many. I mean, I'm from the South. That's a Southern thing. Like no one calls you by your name. But.
Would they be calling you in the South?
So lots of things. But so my first name is British. That's what British short for. So of course I got like BK, British Knights.
Oh, I see.
All the associated names.
Oh yeah, Taco Bell. Because it's Bell. That's right.
Oh
yeah.
no, that's
Taco
That's
Bell.
got to be one of the worst ones that I've heard. But that's funny too. All right, last two. Biggest lesson you learned so far in 2022?
Oh, wow.
I don't think lightning round should be deep. You said it was going to be like food and stuff.
Biggest lesson? That there's a lot of lessons
Yeah.
to be learned.
Yeah, there are. Huh? Give grace, even to myself.
I like that. Bill?
No, I was serious. There's
Okay.
a lot of lessons to
Okay.
be learned.
Oh, that was got it. Noted. All right. Last one. I would love to hear both of y'all takes on this one. This is a finish the statement. Every leader needs what?
Love.
I was going to say heart, yeah.
Oh, wow. Really?
I was.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, there you have it. Every leader needs love, needs heart. Love y'all. Love your hearts. This was the Lead Up Podcast with Bel and Brit. Thank y'all so much for coming out. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks for
Catch you on the next one. Peace.